Paula Sheridan, and I'm here with my husband, Ken. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Hi.
Welcome
Good
to Page Turner Awards ceremony.
Good to see you. Okay, so let's crack on with our first award. And our first award that we're going to tackle is going to be the Screenplay Award. And that brings me to a very special guest of ours tonight, Paul Michael Glaser. Paul, good morning to you. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hi, thank you very much for having me. I'm honored. What a collection of writers you got here.
Yeah. It's very impressive, I have to say. And I mean, it's as you've noticed, you know, they're writers and authors from all across the spectrum of writing, from screenplay to manuscripts, etc. And
a lot of new writers. Starting out on their journey. So they're going to be very inspired by having you here tonight to talk to us.
Yeah. And Paul, I dare say you've seen quite a bit of writing in your time, and you've probably observed good and not so good. But if you have any ideas and thoughts and observations you could share with us tonight and our writing audience about, you know, the pursuit of excellence and what you think separates the very good from the good, that'd be fantastic.
All right. Well, you know, I among other things, I've also, you know, I've written a number of screenplays. I've written 2 books. I'm on a 3rd right now. So to all of you writers, I am really a fellow writer. So I understand an awful lot of what you struggle with. And it is a struggle. Let's make no bones about it. You know, as I look around the world today, and I look at the movies that come out and the books, and there's been kind of a big shift in our culture. I think we feel it more in America than you feel it in Europe, because I think Europe has a greater history, cultural history, to draw on, more of a tradition of writing, more stories to or more history to call on. And I'm keenly aware that storytelling is being threatened in our world today. Short attention spans, with people need for instant gratification. And so why I think that's important, and storytelling is important, is because I've always believed in my acting, in my directing, in my writing, producing, and in my painting. I find that storytelling is a sacred thing. It's a sacred thing. It's the way we pass on our information to each generation. And not just the information about how we live and what it looks like, it feels like, but also the objective and goal of storytelling. I remember once reading that storytelling was all about the affirmation of our ability to survive, our ability to deal with our fear, and that the emotional journey you go through when you are in a story, and your protagonist experiences all the trials and tribulations of life, and is confronted with his or her own fear, then the journey of the protagonist to overcome that sends us a message of reassurance that another human being can do this, so that we don't feel alone, so that we feel connected. As I said earlier, storytelling in our world today is hard to come by. It's hard to come by a good screenplay or a good book. The reason is because, as I mentioned, I think that there's a lot of the shorter attention span that people have, the need for people to not take the journey as much as feel the reward or feel the result. So it's quite a challenge to write something that at the same time grabs the reader's interest and also involves them and gets them committed to the journey of the protagonist and all the characters, and that's important. I mean, if you look at religion, you look at the Bible, you look at all the Bibles for all the religions, they're all about storytelling. They're all about storytelling. And as a matter of fact, you could go to the extreme and say that when you walk down the street and say hello to somebody, you're telling a story. It's a very brief story, but it's a story. It's a story because you are putting out and receiving, you're putting out stimulus and receiving a response. So I can't emphasize enough how important I think it is to really nurture and develop and protect the whole craft of the spirit of writing, of storytelling. If there's anything that we are in jeopardy of losing on this planet, it's our humanity, our empathy towards ourselves and towards others, our ability and need to share and to say we're all here together and we're all one. It's a very, very, very high objective and a very sacred one. And I feel it's very, very important in that screenplays become movies, and the visual medium has certainly surpassed people's use in which they can experience stories. Unfortunately or fortunately, or either one, the screenplay is just a blueprint. It's just because as you make the movie, it changes. It always changes. It changes when you add the music. It changes when you edit it. Film is like that. It's a very liquid and very fluid experience that needs a really strong and specifically designed core intent. It needs that integrity, so that when the cinematographer comes in, or the director comes in, or the actors come in, or whoever comes in, and they interpret your words, they get the message. They get it. And so they can go to their core place and create from there and contribute to what the intention of the piece is. But that means that we have to be extremely clear about what our intention is and our execution of it. We can't protect the words in our screenplay, but what we can do is we can use our words to communicate a story and the intention of that story. And obviously the flavor, color, taste, and all the other wonderful things that words help us accomplish when we describe things. My experience, I never really succeeded as a screenwriter. I went from director, and I got tired. I wanted to be an auteur, and I don't think I was emotionally mature enough at the time to realize that. So I was a director for hire, and then I decided, I produced and co-wrote my last film, and then I decided I was going to just write. And I wrote, and then I wrote a screenplay that didn't have the technology, the time to animate the properties of light. And so I ended up writing it as a book because it involved my whole journey of life, death, loss, and helplessness, everything else. So I've gotten to experience, a fair amount of the journey of a writer, and it's seldom given the appreciation and the plaudits that are required. I mean, the writer is the beginning, and so I have to say that in retrospect, the most important thing, I always say they give the Oscar for perseverance. Now, someone might persevere at cookie cutting, and they'll give them an Oscar. But the point is that it's the perseverance. It's staying the course. It's respecting and honoring your commitment to stay the course through all your trials and tribulations as a human being. And when you look at a finished screenplay, whether it's well executed or not that well executed, or whether it's about something you think is important or it's trivial, it's someone's effort to communicate, and it needs to be seen that way and heard that way. So, you know, when you get all the elements together and they all mesh, then you get yourself a brilliant screenplay. So I have to say that if I were to give any advice, I'd say just stay with it. Stay with it. Momentum is everything. So if the momentum includes a habit of writing every day, no matter what, so be it. You need to stay committed. You need to do it. And I have far less experience at it than I'm sure many of these writers. I respect, I can't say how much I respect that commitment. And I applaud all of you, and I applaud your effort, and I'm very happy to be here to contribute my voice and hopefully make this a better world, because we have a lot of fear in this world, and we have a lessening degree of hope. So our artists carry that torch, and it's, I think, extremely important. So that's my spiel for the morning.
That's a lovely message. Thank you.
Yeah, Paul, listen,
really beautiful.
Thanks so much for those very profound words. Look, I mean, I don't want to turn this into a workshop, but you mentioned how storytelling is under pressure and there's values creeping in, short attention spans, etc. Do you think writers and screenplay writers in particular, they need to shift their approach in any way to address those sorts of pressures and trends?
You know, it's a really good question, because I find myself saying, well, if storytelling is on the wane in terms of society, culture, then what's taking its place? Or what is the story that's being told? Unfortunately, with the advent of the internet and computers and all of that business, the trafficking in information becomes the story. The trafficking, the giving and taking of information. The young person takes out their phone and they text a friend, and the friend texts back. That's their story. And because the friend texts back and it shows up on this person's phone and they got that response, it's very gratifying to them. So, you know, what I find is funny, because I'm working on a project right now, and I'm trying to imagine, it's a screenplay, and I'm trying to imagine how I can best really grab the audience with a visual or a situation, and then keep them interested and let them be hooked and paying attention. You know, the first 5 minutes of a movie are free. People don't realize that, but it's free. In other words, you can do just about anything you want, and the audience will go with it. After 5 minutes, they'll start telling you you're full of shit. But the point is that you have that time. Screenplay writing, you know, if you're dealing with imagery and you're dealing with how people relate to imagery these days, and what it provides for them. And as I mentioned, the short attention span, it becomes a real haiku. It becomes a real interesting problem as to how to get people involved. You know, one of the sadder jokes in this industry is the executives don't read. They don't read. And if they do read, the odds are that 99% of them can't see in their imagination. They're not creatively endowed. They are more about their job and survival in the corporate atmosphere. So, you know, how do we hook them in? And we have to be careful that that hook isn't more important than what it is we're trying to say. You know, that results in all the titillation that we see and the exploitation of violence and sexual exploitation and all of it. Spectacle. It's almost like people feel this need to experience spectacle and let that be enough. Unfortunately, it's like Chinese food. You eat it and you're going to be hungry in a couple of hours. It doesn't really satisfy. Spectacle doesn't. It can use up your time, make you feel like you've had a bit of a journey, but it's not really that journey that we've all had, or most of us have had, when we've been told a story and it really moved us and helped us live our lives. So the challenge to write a screenplay right now is enormous. It's enormous because A, it's very expensive until we get to the point where there's enough equipment out there and people find ways to get around the cost of this. But still in all, there's such a dependency on electronics and on computer generated images, and you know, and that the word, as I was raised to regard the word, and literature and film and theater, everything, the word has lost a lot of its importance or relevance. It doesn't go in and vibrate with the same kind of, I mean, it does for some of us, yes, but we're trying to communicate with all the others. With out there, we're trying to tell a story, make the world a better place, help us deal with this enormous amount of fear and helplessness we're experiencing on the planet right now. So it's and in one respect, it's like a thankless task. My girlfriend is a poet, and in some ways, I think it's easier for her because she gets to deal with the extracted experience and describing the extracted experience. You know, it's like a painting. So an artist who does abstract paintings is communicating from the subconscious and asking you to review their work with the subconscious, from your subconscious, not from a place of intellect, a place of, well, what does that look like? Or what does that mean? Or what does it understand? No, it's all about feeling. What am I feeling when I see that? And that's it. That's it. And that's not trivial. It's not anything small. I feel like I'm wandering far afield from your question. But I think that this challenge of how to capture the gestalt that we're all in, this this technocracy, this world of diminishing patience and people's inability to sit still with themselves and sit with the quiet, sit with the fear and all of that, that is going away. And if there's one person in the world of the arts, it's the writer who really understands that, because you know it's you're your own audience for the majority of the time, and you know you don't, you know, it's a very solitary experience, but it's demanding a very communal response, and that's a neat trick. Did I even answer your question?
I think you did.
did.
More. I think you did more than that, Paul. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, Paul, your experiences and observations are, are fascinating. And I mean, I know, we will get on to the awards and the handing out of the winners, but I'm sure we've got a lot of our audience say, no, let him talk. This is good. We want a bit more.
We just want to hear from Paul.
Yeah, but Paul, that's fascinating, and I'm sure our writers got a lot out of that. That much broader view of writing and how it works. So thanks so much for taking the time to share all of that with us. It was absolutely fantastic.
I wish I could. I wish I could do more than share. But it's so important that I think for any of us, it's just in life, it's really important to try to achieve as much awareness as possible and really honor ourselves in our ability to deal with life, death, fear, the notion that nobody may read this, nobody may care. So that brings us to the next point, which is so important, which is process is everything. Getting in the process, as in like a meditation, you get in the process and you're experiencing and discovering things about yourself. And hopefully from a point of view that it's experience that we all feel in life, those classic experiences, universal experiences, and just understanding that, and it's a hard thing to do, that when we are creating, the act of creating, the act of in the process, that act contributes a tremendous amount of harmony to the universe, to the world around us. Even if it doesn't get made as a film, even if it doesn't get published as a book, you're sitting down every day and you're praying, you're meditating, you're looking into the mirror and trying to find a truth and experience a truth. So I know it's hard for us to say because, you got to pay the bills, you got to live. It's awfully easy to say it and not have to worry about those things. But it's also important to understand that relationship to writing and that process and that relationship to yourself as an artist is really important so that you understand why you're doing it. The most important thing I've always felt about anything I work on is to ask myself, why do I need to tell this story right now? What's so compelling? What am I trying to understand? What am I trying to figure out? What am I going to learn? So it's a lot of questions and it's a lot of curiosity and it's a journey and it's a search. And when we can understand that's what we're doing there, we're not trying to get a movie made. We're trying to tell a story with as best craft as we can so that the people who make movies, can see it and read it and get it and be moved by it.
Well, Paul, listen, that's fascinating. And I'm not the writer in this family, Paula is, but I know all of our writers out there they're going to draw so much from the inspiration you would have given them with that breadth of view that you hold on the creative process that is writing. So, Paul, listen, thanks very much for taking more time than we could have hoped for to hear your views and thoughts on that. So it was absolutely fascinating. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. I used to talk about this a lot, and it's a nice image. Imagine two prehistoric men sitting around a fire at night, and all around them it's dark, with only the noises of the animals that want to come to eat them. And they're petrified, and they're shaking in their boots, and one of them picks up a rock and hits another rock with it. And it's causal, it makes a sound. Feels pretty good. He does it again. Does it again. But the fourth time he does it, the other man goes, "Ugh." He grunts. Another guy hits the rock and he grunts. Grunt. Well, that gets them through the night. Now it's 1,000 years later, and there's 30 families in a huge cave, and they've all eaten too much saber-toothed tiger. And then nobody wants to sit up and hit rocks and grunt. They want to go to sleep. So they choose somebody to do it for them. And that person becomes the storyteller, the rabbi, the priest. That's what that person does. And I always thought that was a really kind of cool image. I let me just say to all the writers, thank you, and thank you folks for just, it's really nice to be included. People say, well, what's your next directing project? And I say, well, in this society, ageism is a problem. And because most of the executives at studios don't want someone older than them who knows more than they do. So I really appreciate the opportunity to share with you what I've learned and what I'm studying and what I'm trying to find out myself, and from my years of experience. So thank you. Congratulations to everybody. God bless us and keep us writing.
Thank you so much, Paul. Super. Have a great day. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank
God
you,
bless.
Paul. Thank you very
Bye-bye.
much.
Goodbye.
Bye.